The demand for illegal traded wildlife and plants is increasing, and evidence indicates that wildlife crime and trafficking are on the rise in West Africa. The trade is one of the most extreme threats to biodiversity and worth $19 billion United States dollars a year. Research shows that nearly 100 African elephants are poached per day. On 20th December 2013, at its 68th session, the United Nations General Assembly decided to proclaim 3rd March the day of the adoption of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES, as World Wildlife Day to celebrate and raise awareness around the need for protection of endangered species all over the world. As part of its contribution, the West African Biodiversity and Climate Change (WABIC) is teaming up in Sierra Leone with partners such as the Environment Protection Agency, the National Protected Area Authority (NPAA), and the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security to strengthen wildlife conservation in the country and fight against wildlife trafficking. Thanks to this collaboration, World Wildlife Day was commemorated in Sierra Leone for the first time on March 3, 2017. WABIC supported its Sierra Leone government partners to bring together students from various high schools and universities, as well as other participants from organizations and institutions working on biodiversity conservation at the British Council Hall in Freetown, to discuss issues surrounding wildlife trafficking and its effect on protection of wildlife.
West Africa Biodiversity and Climate Change, WABIC, is a 5-year program funded by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. WABIC's head office is in Accra, Ghana, and its technical office is here in Freetown. Being regional in scope and design, WABIC works through core partners, including the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, the Mana River Union, MRU, and the Abidjan Convention.
The goal of the World Wildlife Day Symposium was to engage and commit the Sierra Leonean youth into the global efforts to conserve biodiversity. The event focused on information sharing and promotion of national and regional activities to combat wildlife trafficking within Sierra Leone and across the entire West African region.
Today's event is the first of many awareness-raising activities we plan to carry out, such as seminars, radio talk shows and radio dramas, and other tools to stimulate behavior change. I've been captivated by the vast range of wildlife present in this, including chimpanzees, pygmy hippos, pangolins, elephants, sea turtles, and even gray parrots, and many other species of birds.
Interestingly, the majority, if not all, of the animals mentioned by the WABIC communications specialist, Darius Barrow, are currently threatened by commercial and/or illegal hunting in the country. Consequently, Madam Kate Garnett, the acting executive director of the National Protected Area Authority (NPAA), in her keynote speech on behalf of the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security, highlighted these and other challenges confronting wildlife conservation in Sierra Leone.
Poaching, land and forest degradation, destructive expansion of farmland, mining, unplanned and detrimental urban growth are some of the major threats that face Sierra Leone's wildlife and natural habitats. The low level of education, lack of knowledge about existing policies we have, poverty, and the lure of quick money has also contributed to the killing of our endangered species. And of course, the involvement of some youths in trafficking these endangered animals. It is our duty to find solutions to these challenges and put an end to the destruction of our wildlife in collaboration with the various national authorities and institutions we have.
Crimes against wildlife fueled by conflicts and the trafficking of wildlife products from the country have been increasing over the past years. Madam Kate Garnett believes the impact is devastating on the populations of both iconic and lesser-known species, hence the need for the greater commitment and collaboration of all stakeholders in addressing this problem.
We must support young people in connecting the local and the global for more effective wildlife conservation. For this, we need young voices. We need young people to speak out, to join hands, and to collaborate in shaping new paths to sustainable development in ways that conserve wildlife and protect the shared wealth of biodiversity.
Already, the Takugama Chimpanzee Sanctuary, situated on the peninsular hills of Bathurst, Freetown, is very popular in its efforts to protect chimpanzees in the country. The sanctuary rescues chimpanzees captured by humans, confiscating them to ensure their safety and rehabilitation within 90 days of their rescue. Nevertheless, human activities including encroachment for settlement on forest remains a major challenge, threatening the existence of these animals in the sanctuary. Ethel Silla of the Takugama Chimpanzee Sanctuary.
We are facing numerous problems, challenges I would say, one of which is land grabbing, because we are living within the National Protected Park, and so land grabbing has become a serious challenge and a threat to the existence of Takugama and protecting and preserving wildlife and biodiversity within that area.
Although some of those challenges highlighted by Ethel are still prevalent in the new home of the rescued chimpanzees, Madam Silla believes that a lot has changed since the establishment of the NPAA compared to previous years when government structures of such nature were inexistent.
The government is doing well because of the newly instituted National Protected Area Authority. They are doing more as compared to like 4 years back. And so they're doing what they should do now because law enforcement has become a problem, but they're now doing it for us. So they're serving as an umbrella and we're shielding under to protect the biodiversity and conservation there.
In its efforts to fight wildlife trade, Sierra Leone is a party to the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. With other key wildlife regulations and laws, the government, in collaboration with other partners, has revised the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, now at its final stage for submission to the CBD. Joseph Sapunka Toure is the head of the Field Operation Department at the Environment Protection Agency, Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone, being a member of the Global Village, has joined the world today to commemorate the 2017 World Wildlife Day under the theme, Listen to the Young Voices. Given that almost 1/4 of the world's population is aged between 10 to 24, vigorous efforts need to be made to encourage young people as the future leaders and decision makers of the world to act at both local and global levels to protect endangered wildlife.
The Western Area Regional Conservation Manager at the National Protected Areas Authority NPAA, Ansumana Baba Toure, provided background on the establishment of the authority and of protected areas across the country for the existence and well-being of wildlife in Sierra Leone.
The actual mandate was to oversee all protection of our protected areas and reserve areas in Sierra Leone. Because it's a clear information that most of our forest is going.
Talking about NPAA's efforts to protect wildlife, Mr. Toure singled out poaching as a major threat to the existence of wildlife in the country.
Trafficking does not only stop at the whole organism or the whole animal or plant itself, either by part or by whole. Any animal that is taken out of Sierra Leone illegally is trafficking.
The Program Director of the Environment Foundation for Africa, EFA, Madam Aminata Bundu, also stressed the need for young people to know about wildlife conservation and biodiversity protection.
People should know about wildlife because just like how we know about oxygen and breathing, it's a part of us. Wildlife is all around us and it's part of our home, our habitat and our environment. So just like we are on this earth, they are also a part of our world.
Madam Bundu believes that proper biodiversity conservation cannot be achieved without the involvement of the young people, as this will be detrimental to wildlife and nature.
If conservation is not done and this information is not passed to the young people, it's very detrimental for the wildlife that we have in this country, because the young people are our future generations, and by passing on the message to them and the responsibility to protect the environment, their local environment, be that their home, their school or their community, I think sadly we will not have, maybe not to the scale of wildlife that we have today, but very diminished, which is very sad. And the opportunity we have to see just birds, monkeys, chimpanzees, our grandchildren or even future generations to come will not have that opportunity.
In fact, sustainable conservation, many will argue, starts at community level.
In my chiefdom, I've put a moratorium on bush burning for 3 years. Nobody makes any, nobody burns any primary forest. And we are using some other alternative means, and that's a way that NPA can come and ensure that at least a sense of community is created, and out of that we could get a sense of community ownership.
The World Wildlife Day celebration also featured 2 drama skits, with 2 out of the 10 participating high schools presenting each one. The skits were designed to raise awareness on biodiversity conservation and wildlife protection in Sierra Leone.
Very important to us. You are right, my daughter. I know what to.
The event was climaxed by a quiz competition among the various participating high schools, followed by the distribution of prizes to the first 3, with consolation prizes for each of the over 60 students that participated in the competition. The Annie Walsh Memorial Secondary School emerged as the winner, with Russell Technical Secondary School and Peninsula Secondary School as first and second runners-up respectively. The quiz competition was to test the level of understanding of the young participants on the wildlife issues discussed during the symposium, as a way of listening to their voices in line with the theme, Listen to Young Voices.
School number 7, EFA.
The meaning of the word is Environmental Foundation for Africa.
That's correct. Extra mark, 1 mark.
The well-attended and participatory symposium ended with a brief closing remarks, first by the manager for law enforcement at the National Protected Area Authority, NO, who expressed appreciation on the World Wildlife Day celebration by WABIC, with a commitment to communicate the concerns raised at the discussions to the government of Sierra Leone for possible actions.
The world at large has more than a quarter of its population constituted of the youth, people between the ages of 10 and 24. Stepping in the shoes of government today, I doff my hat for those who chose that topic, that theme, that we have to listen to the youth. It's high time we move on as Africans and as a country from listening to people who bring top-bottom approach to development. We start it from the bottom. Let's listen to what we think.
This was followed by another closing remarks from the Deputy Secretary General of the Mano River Union, Mr. Moriba, who chaired the whole event.
And you as future leaders, you need to be well informed and well armed with information to be able to be transformators in society. So the onus is on you as young people to take advantage of wherever you are to acquire knowledge. Knowledge gives you power. Knowledge gives you wings to go anywhere in the world. You are a child of the world, but you have to be prepared for it. I want to thank the organizers. I want to thank USAID. I want to thank the government for this occasion. You are the instruments that they are going to use, and it have to prepare ourselves for the game. I want to thank you all, and I wish you all the best, and God bless us all.